Hi everyone, John White here from Improved Consulting, and today I'd like to talk a bit more about value. So I like to define value as anything that our customers are willing to pay us for. And with that definition, we can always stay focused on the things that keep our business alive, which are the products and the services that we're selling to our customers. So let's talk a bit about how understanding this value can contribute to improving our business. Well, when it comes to delivering value to customers, I find it really surprising that a lot of employees and organizations don't have a great understanding of how the work they do contributes to what we're delivering to the customers at the end of the day. I would hope that most employees at least know what our company does. But do all employees need that awareness of how their work contributes to customer satisfaction and overall organizational success? I think that they do, and let me tell you why. Let's say I'm going to hire you for a job, and on the first day that you show up, I'm going to hand you a mop and a bucket and tell you to get cleaning the floors, and then I'm going to walk out of the room. That doesn't sound particularly exciting or rewarding. So let's rewind that a bit and do it again with me acting as a better senior leader. I still hand over the mop and the bucket, but this time I'm going to tell you that the floors you're cleaning are in an emergency room operating theater, and that the safety of the patient and the doctors are directly linked to your ability to keep these floors clean. Now, does that make you feel different? It certainly gives me a bit more drive and purpose when tasked with mopping a floor. And then I know that every day I come in and there's no slip and fall accidents, I would take great pride in that, because by keeping those doctors, nurses, and techs on their feet, I'm actually helping to save people's lives. So I think we all intuitively kind of know that in a company, the intention is to have a large extended team that works together to achieve a common goal. But as companies grow and change, certain roles become more separated from the customer, from what we're delivering. And so this opens up the chance for certain roles to lose sight of what value the company is delivering to a customer. And I think this can be most pronounced in the supporting areas of the business. The support units like finance and HR and IT, they're not typically customer facing. And so the work that they do, it can sometimes be hard to connect the dots between, let's say, our customer satisfaction and a monthly inventory report or a quarterly financial. I think while it's difficult, it is absolutely necessary, though, to give employees the context on how their work contributes to the overall goals and objectives. Even if it's several layers removed from the actual delivery of products or services into the customer's hands, it's still really important for them to know. Otherwise, people have no way of acknowledging a job well done. They just have task after task to complete and no idea of how these tasks actually make a difference in the lives of other employees or customers. It all comes down to doing a job, and your reward is your compensation. And for some people that works, but for many businesses and for many people that it's just not enough to stick around and stick with a particular job. I cannot think of a better analogy for this than sports, and specifically I'm going to use American football because that's one of my favorites. And I think this is a great analogy because on these teams, much like in your organizations, there are specific squads or departments that have jobs that they're trying to do, strategies they're trying to implement. And then they also have positions within each of the squads, so the different roles that employees would play. So you have your quarterback on offense who touches the ball every play and tries to lead the offensive unit. You have your running backs and your wide receivers who are running and catching the ball, trying to move it forward and ultimately score points. These are the flashier offensive positions that you see dancing in the end zone after a big score. And then the big lumbering guys come in to start celebrating too, and these are the offensive linemen. These are the massive 350-pound individuals who block, protect the quarterback, and open holes in the defense so that our offensive team can run through. These offensive linemen, they never score themselves really. It's on occasion they will, but usually they don't. But they are one of the most integral parts of any offense. So without the offensive linemen, nobody would score, no matter how individually talented they were. So this analogy stretches even beyond the players, though, and goes into the coaching staff who don't get on the field at all, but their strategy, their training, their drive, and motivation are essential to a smoothly running team. Everyone with a key role of keeping the players and the team healthy, active, and safe. And so they all know what the overall team goal is, which in the long term is to win a championship, in the medium term to win the game, in the shorter term, play by play, it's to move the ball forward and also have your defense preventing the ball from the other team moving towards your end zone. So everybody kind of understands how their contributions lead to team success. So going back to my question from before, do all employees need this awareness of how the work they're doing contributes to overall organizational success and customer value? Absolutely they do. When someone can see how their work contributes to a bigger picture, they can be more motivated to get it all done. They'll have this satisfaction that comes with, working hard and achieving. Even if they're kind of losing in the game overall, they're still going to feel that pride that comes from a job well done. But it doesn't even stop there. This is an excellent motivator so people can have more clarity around their purpose within the organization, which is great. But the benefit to the organization itself goes beyond the motivation and engagement of employees. When our employees know the purpose of their work and how they contribute to company success, delivering value to our customers, they can challenge the elements of their work that they do to do a better job of delivering that required value. So let's go back for a second to where we had you hired to clean our operating theater floor. And the importance of that work would still be stressed on the first day that you show up. But this time, instead of me giving you a mop and a bucket, I give you a toothbrush and a square of sandpaper, along with the encouragement that this method of cleaning is the way that we have always done it. You could keep yourself pretty busy cleaning that floor with a toothbrush and a piece of sandpaper. Nobody could say it was your fault if there was someone slipping and falling and a patient was lost on the table because you were there on your hands and knees scrubbing the floor just as you were instructed to do. But we all know what the real problem is here, right? Just because we've done things a certain way for all time doesn't mean that's the way we need to keep doing it in the future. If we thought that way, we'd still be in horse-drawn buggies, and we certainly wouldn't have the Perseverance rover on Mars right now. And maybe a mop and a bucket isn't the best way to be cleaning the floor. We could consider a steam cleaner or a pressure washer, and maybe robots can do a better job than people can. There have to be a few dozen methods that we could use to do a better job of cleaning the floor, depending on what we want in terms of doing it better, faster, or cheaper. So shouldn't the message on day one be something more like, hey, we've always cleaned floors this way, so here are your tools, but we look forward to hearing what works well for you and what doesn't, so we can figure out how to do this better in the future. And set for them as well the constraints that, the most important thing here is that our doctors, nurses, and other attending staff stay on their feet so we can keep patients alive. But I don't really hear this kind of clear and direct messaging. What I see more of is organizations that have rigid or vague job descriptions, ones that don't lend themselves to change or customization. And I might be biased here because I'm a consultant and my job is to go in and help companies in need, but that's kind of what I'm seeing these days. And I've actually seen employees punished for taking risks and trying new things. And when you punish someone for trying something like that, they're probably never going to try again. So you're losing your people when you reprimand them in that way. And in the rare cases where you do have a leader who encourages change or demands improvement, the employees are not usually given the tools and the methods to affect real change. It's more of a just make this better, and then out the room we go, and everyone's left scratching their heads to figure it out because we've only done it one way before. They're not empowered to experiment and try new things, and they have no appreciation of change other than when they're voluntold that something is happening, a change in the organization that affects them where they usually weren't involved in the first place. This kind of behavior just disengages your workforce. It creates a work-to-rule culture that never innovates or challenges the current state and creates a divide and unnecessary competition between departments, leaders, and employees. Maybe the most recent example of this is the pandemic, where many of us were thrust into remote work without any real planning or preparation. And in rigid organizations where people are expected to just show up and do their work, things were instantly broken on day one, and employees had to sit down and wait for senior leaders to figure it all out. So we had several cases of where survival instincts would kick in, and we had good people making up for bad process, and the organization survived and are still surviving thanks to their people taking that, just get it done attitude. But instead of just surviving, they could have been thriving if they had this continuous improvement mindset. That mindset that encourages us to think about the current state, how well it's working, what is and isn't working in it, to come up with solutions, creative solutions that address the problems that we have at the root, and then to implement those solutions and make them last, and then to look at our new process once it's implemented and do the same thing. What's working well now? What's not working well? What else can we change to go forward with? If we had people with that mindset, a major event like a pandemic wouldn't have nearly as much negative impact on our businesses. So ultimately, continuous improvement makes us more flexible and adaptable to these kinds of big changes and small changes as well. Just to be clear, I'm not advocating that all employees should be given carte blanche to change whatever they want whenever without, guidance or approval. There are still going to be large, complicated projects that pop up that we want to dedicate the right staff to, that we want to do the right planning and get the right structure in place and do our due diligence. But not all of the problems at the onset of the pandemic should have been as significant as they are. What we needed is to keep delivering the same value. All we needed to do was tweak the way that we were delivering to our customers. And then in a lot of cases, I saw management being more suspicious and less trusting of the employees when they went to work at home because they couldn't see them sitting at their desks, so there was no trust that the work was going to get done. And that just doesn't sound like a high-performing culture that takes the initiative to improve the way they do work, to be flexible in their work. This is the mindset that I want to change, and I've created the Keys to Improve method so that I can empower teams to collaborate more effectively, to focus on what matters to customers, and to continuously improve the business. When your teams are armed with this knowledge and capability, they'll not only know how they contribute, but they'll be able to contribute more effectively. And this means doing things better, faster, cheaper, or more cost effectively. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck on your improvement journey, and we'll see you next time.